a two, a one, two, three, four.
I mean, it's a podcast.
It's a podcast. And then
I think there's a
does it say podcast? She is the queen.
No, I just took a picture of myself.
Okay, great. Do we have to stop every 10 minutes for your beauty filter? Just looking at
They don't want us to be happy, they don't want us to love. They don't want us to be happy, they don't want us to live. They don't want us to be. They don't want us to make peace, they don't want us to love. They don't want us to be rich, they don't want us to love. They don't want us to be.
I was about to say, let's name the podcast Fruits, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember I made a group of a family group thing called Fruits of the Womb. And no one got it. None of them got what I was trying to do there. And it's since disappeared, but like no one got it. Like no one even said, hey, this is pretty funny. It's pretty cool. My brothers, like no one got it. I was just so sad. So I discontinued the family group.
That's amazing.
Please help me, I run to the rock. Please help me, I run to the river. Please help me. Rock, what's the matter with you, rock? Don't you see I need you, rock? La 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 la. So we ready?
We're ready. Cue the intro. Intro. We're gonna make it. Do you have any thoughts about the intro?
Thank you! Yay!
Boom. Welcome. Here we are. We're on our very first podcast, Tuello. This is exciting.
Yep.
We've been talking about this for a long time.
Cool.
We're doing it now.
Doing it now.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to the folks? Tell them who you are.
Hello, folks. I'm talking to you now. It's Tuello from the studio. Well, it's Tuello. What else do you need to know about me?
It's Radio 2LO.
It's Radio 2LO. It's so cool.
We'll throw that clip in.
Yeah, we will throw that clip in.
This is 2LO, the London station of the British Broadcasting Company calling. 2LO calling.
I don't think a lot of people know that, actually, that's what that's from.
Yeah, from when the BBC started.
The very
The
first
radio
broadcast of the
broadcast,
BBC
yeah.
was, their call sign was 2LO.
Yeah, I feel like, British people will just have to love me at this point. Even with my anti-colonial beliefs.
Uh-huh.
You just have to take the truth as it is. And, don't make it that personal. It happened. It is what it is. And you just have to fix it. That's what it is. Fix it. Anyways, I'm here as Tuello in Dublin with Kevin.
Yes.
Oh, it's low power.
Oh, here. This is what...
Low power, power low.
Is that powered?
Yes, I think it's powered.
Here in Dublin, we've been here for 2.5 months.
Yep.
We came here on a bit of a whim. And it's been wonderful. It's been pretty transformative.
Irish people are amazing.
It's true.
I think about this often. And especially since I've been here. Just so when you see immigrants from other countries, that's how you view that country because of them. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the country and it's completely different people. And I realize that us, rather than me, because I've lived the immigrant life for so long, we are different people. And that's part of why we left. And also part of why there's a slight cutthroatiness about us that's unlike that of the people in our own countries. There's a slight ambition that is a bit overboard compared to, do you know what I mean? Like normal ambition. There's a want to do really great things, and this kind of moves us away from people living everyday lives in our own countries. Yeah. They are way smoother with it, like way easier about it, where for us life isn't like it. Our lives are moving quickly and we expect people to move quickly, and we're expecting of these things, these dreams that other people actually don't have. Do you know what I mean? Like they and this like push and hunger, you know, that other people really do not have. And so like you think of a lot of Irish people who've changed things in America, in South Africa, who moved and migrated or were enslaved in some way, but went there and then became different people and built a different Irish community and built a community and became American and became South African and became all of these things, and how they like really shifted things. And sometimes you think, oh, some of them didn't do good. You know, and you look at Irish people, you look at people from from that perspective of like how they are in their chosen countries now. And it's a very different person. And then you like, you know, like you think of all of the things that, you know, when a person says I'm Irish American, but they're right wing, or they're this, or they've done something really bad, or they're, you know, or they've shifted things in a certain way, or they've moved away from the plight of enslaved people where they were also enslaved, or people who are, you know, like how they're so different from how Irish people actually are as a people in Ireland. And like, it's such a peace of mind and a beautiful thing. And it's not Boston, it's Ireland. You know what I mean? Like
Boston Irish is very
different.
Yes,
it is a very different person. And like you know, it's just so pleasing. And people are super nice and super kind and unassuming of color, of you know, nationality, of all of these things, just like unassuming in general. You are who you are here, you know, and you're going to be taken as that. And it's like a really, really special thing, I think. So I really love this place. There's a sense of comfort and it's super safe.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yes.
And here, you know, we've met a lot of people in the music industry. We've kind of rethought about a lot of things, about what we did last year, about what our plans are for next year. And so that led us to this whole journey of creating remixes, which we'll eventually get to. But I think, you know, where we need to start is the album that came out last year. And I think even before that, when I was thinking about how we can talk about it, you know, we've been playing music together for like 10 years, basically.
Yes.
And it's really been this journey to try to find a very specific sound.
Whew.
And it
has
been
a
long
journey. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
From like 7 years ago when we did a first record with anyone.
Yeah.
We played for 10 years. Like, we've been trying. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, we know
Still
we
are.
can always go back to you and a guitar, and you know, that is the core. But then trying to find this other sound that will speak to broad swaths of people, but also be like very specific. So part of this journey, you put together a playlist, which is on Spotify. And we'll kind of update it as we like remember songs, but just about like musical influences you have that help inform this sound that we're creating. So like on this playlist, you've got Nina Simone, you've got Aretha Franklin, You've got Brenda Fosse, which a lot of people might not know, but if you don't know Brenda Fosse and you're throwing a party soon, you need to just do a Brenda Fosse playlist.
You simply must.
You've got Michael Jackson, Gnarls Barkley, Malatini and the Mahotella Queens. So, like, what is, like, the commonality between these very different worlds of influences that you have?
Well, I think more than anything, it's energy. You know, like they are different worlds, but the same energy. It's like a high level of just in one note, bursting with so many different things. You know, it's like a starburst in your mouth. It's just like flavor. And I think for each and every one of those artists, for me, it's that, you know, I can take 10 seconds of their song, like, hey, son of man, where you gonna run to? Like, do you know what I mean? And already I'm just like, ah! You know, it can be any one of those songs, and I feel I feel so many things.
What song on the album makes you think that, or like is maybe the best example or an example of that?
On the Life of Margaret Cornelius is an example of that. It's fascinating. Good question. It would have to be Killer.
Let's listen to a little bit of Killer.
Yeah.
All my life I planned for certain, never really had a burden, but now I stand in question. They say I killed one person, and I don't really have an answer. I had dreams of being famous, thought I'd grace the glossy pages, but now my dreams are stolen and my heart is broken. Can't you see that I'm in pieces? I'm on the front page cover of the Daily News and I don't know what I did. I went out last night on a crazy date and someone sold me leave. But I went home, went to bed, walked to the phone out of my head. I'm on the front page news. I'm on the front page news. I'm on the front page news. I'm on the front page news.
Yeah, and although I don't think we've gotten to the sound that we're looking for, and it's coming because we're now very sure of where we're going. For me, it was the first expression of a feeling, a mood, a protest, and adding to the world, you know, in like energy. So I think that's why it's like always, there's so many elements to the song. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a specific energy that I really, really appreciate, because I'd written it because of the Innocence Project when I first saw it. When I first, like, I'd been living in Connecticut for over a year, and I read about it, and then I looked it up, and it just became this thing where I was obsessed with it. And And because I saw like that first guy, I don't remember when it was though. I saw a few documentaries, and I saw one about, it wasn't a documentary, it was like a news thing about the first man who was freed because of the Innocence Project.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like, I think of that, and then I think of so many incidents in my life. I think of the point where I was like a teenager, and I was left alone on the farm to take care of the farm over a weekend, and there were people who were trying to steal cattle, and like, you know, like the feeling of having to pick up a gun and thinking, if anything should happen, I am going to have to shoot first. And so I think of, and I'm like, no one would know that I was trying to protect myself. I think of all of these things, and I think because I write diaries so much, it's hard for me to forget any event because I've written it, you know, it happened and then I wrote it. And so I thought of the Innocence Project, and I thought of so many other incidents like the one on the farm. And this gentleman who had no clue actually what was going on the whole time, even as he was in jail, he was just like, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got here. And also I was going to be someone. I was actually going to be someone great, you know? And so like Killer for me is such a high level of energy and like, yeah, it's things about innocence and people's innocence, justice, you know?
How does that relate to Hilda? Because I know that's a wild story. Wait, let's hear a little bit of it.
I laughed a lot. Stop it, Hilda, you lost the plot. Was supposed to go first, I laughed a lot. Reign of terror now gone, we all won. Hilda, sober, over, and now gone. Hilda, sober, over, and now gone. Hilda, sober, over, and now gone. Hilda, told her, over, and now gone. Hey.
This song is a great example of the crazy journey of making the album, because it has lived in so many different forms.
True.
I think the original demo for this we did in like 2017 or 2018.
It was
Maybe
it was
before
after
that.
no, it was after Germany, because I wrote it in Belgium.
We
In
did.
Ghent, I remember.
Yeah, I think the original recording was in 2019.
19.
I remember doing some of the backing vocals when we made the shower studio, when we had like a bathroom and like brought in all of the pillows and mattresses to try to create a studio. I found this old version.
Cool. I love it.
Which is like slower, and we changed keys, I think, at one point.
Cool. Oh, we did. Killed and I laughed a lot. Oh, I like it.
It's great. But I think this one we got Kush's drums on.
It was wild.
Yeah.
But that's a good sound.
Yeah.
We should always trust ourselves.
I know. That's the other side of the journey story. It's
Trusting
just not
ourselves.
like, oh, actually, this sounds good. It's okay that it's not like everything all at once. Yeah, that's...
But trusting ourselves is important. I love Hilda because it's one of those songs, after I wrote it, I was like, what is this about? You know why? Because I went to that festival in Ghent.
Uh-huh.
After you guys had left,
Yep.
and I was playing like a couple of other places in Europe. And right after the festival ended, I was walking in this like stark, beautiful, like, yeah, like strange, cool city, the town. I don't know what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I literally remember how I was walking. It's like the open toilets for men.
The trough toilet?
Yes, the trough. And I just walked past. And as I was walking, I was kind of just like happy. But then, like, literally the song was like, I killed and I laughed a lot. Stop it, Hilda. You lost the plot. Like, I was just like,
That's amazing.
Why now? What is this?
And then you're like, I need to do a voice
memo. And I did a voice memo of it. And like, had it there, wrote it, finished it before I even got to the train station. It was done. So basically the long journey to get to the train, I couldn't even feel it. I was like, the song was writing itself and I was, finished. And it's funny because when Ostapi, who's my oldest sister, we were doing the song with her, she was like, oh, I know what you're talking about. And she was just like, scandalous. Why do you throw out things in the streets? Kind of a thing. And I was just like, great. At least one person in the world knows who I'm talking about.
Oh, I love it. There's a mystery Hilda out there somewhere.
It had to be documented. That
whoever it is, I'm sure knows that it's about them.
Yes, and might have not heard it, which is great. But we know. We know.
The hidden secret. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the other song that, to me, like the energy, I think that's like a great way of thinking about trying to find a sound. Like, what is the energy that it's bringing? Is Canary. It's like such a unique energy with that song.
Canary is very different.
Yeah.
I actually totally forgot about Canary right now. Canary, I'd written it. Oh my gosh, I have to find the Instagram post of it. Before 2017, I think it was 2016, I'd written it. In like my diary or whatever. It's a diary mixed with lyrics, mixed with everything. I just write things all over the place. And I wrote the words because I'm always in a healing journey. Like, I'm always in a healing journey. And, like, there's this thing that I've also spoken to, like, I talk to my sister and my mother a lot, like, about my healing journey. And there's this thing that I call the visitor. Like, if you've had intense trauma happen to you, it will visit you your whole life. And so it's like one of those things where sometimes I'm in the happiest place. And then it's like this ghost just goes over me, No, you can't. This is you, kind of a thing. And so Canary was this thing for me. I wrote a song about killing this thing. Literally about murder. Like, I'm not a murderous person. In fact, I think I'm against killing in every form. But in that moment, I gave myself an opportunity to have imagined, if anything, exorcising, or rather actually killing this thing. So anyway, I'm not.
Well, and that is kind of the, I mean, not the killing part necessarily, but that's sort of the album, right? dealing with troublesome situations where you work to not be in those situations. But if you find yourself in those situations, like defending yourself and being ready to do whatever you need to do.
It's funny because yesterday we all found out in the world that Stephen Twitch Boss died, and he ended his own existence. But he will exist in all of our videos, all of our minds, all of our this. And I was just like, man, people, we don't know what people are dealing with. Even as happy as I am and joyous, and I do feel joyous and happy, but I have a visitor that I can't get away from, and also I have to deal with my life in that way. And I'm the kind of person who, I'm like, I will never, ever mention it to a soul. It is mine and mine alone, and not for people to have to live through it with me. You know what I mean? That kind of a person. So I can imagine he's that person. So it's a painful thing to have to live with. I also think it's funny because before I found out about him, the day before I was thinking of Robin Williams. And I was just like, how did... This is how people go about their lives, and everyone is just like, oh my gosh, this is the happiest person in the world.
Right.
And you are dealing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So true.
I was just thinking of him and I was like, oh my gosh, how he must have been walking in the world with his pain is the saddest thing. Do you know what I mean? And so I was like, well, this is why I think I write and I talk to people about it and I discuss it on stage and do all of that kind of thing, because it's my thing of you have to know when to run away and make plans for running away. And it seems like a horrible thing to do, to live in a space where you've made plans for disaster to happen. But my visitor shows up. So I have to make plans for when that visitor shows up so that I can be like, I know how to, and or I can go to a place that then moves me back to being okay. Do you know what I mean? And so I can imagine that Robin Williams' visitor, he didn't prepare. He wasn't prepared. He wasn't preparing for when this visitor shows up. And it's going to happen. Because when I was 13, I would have never told you that I would still be having visitations of trauma.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And so I have to imagine that one day when I'm 70, I'll be living with this. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, how do I then prepare for this thing, for this particular trauma to not ruin me to death? Do you know what I mean? And so I think Canary is about this particular thing. Yeah. Anyways.
Let's listen to a little.
Yeah.
While we...
They say I write about tragedies. Sorry for what happened, we were young. Those days puppies were fire-breathing dragons. Roses were poisonous, they could kill you. Warning, it's too late now for a violation. Sorry, I was not in my right mind, I was a child. Finally, I'm a canary. You shouldn't doubt me. I'm the reason you still have your mother. I'm a canary. You shouldn't scare me. I'm the reason you still have your bloody nine.
This song too also evolved wildly.
Oh my gosh.
I found some old stuff. Remember we had a version that had piano. It's this one.
And I have to mention,
Not that
because the song actually, the cadence of it is of a protest song, of what you call protest singing in South Africa called doi doi. And it's usually, hey, 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 or it's a na 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 na. When I wrote it, I didn't write it that way, but when I went back and re-listened, I was like, oh, this is where the influence comes from that type of protest culture.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even tape. But it taped on your side.
It's on.
Oh.
Remember this one?
Beautiful.
The piano thing is great.
How are we just like how?
The songs just live in lots of different spaces. We also did the version that had strings.
But still has piano.
And still has a piano.
It's magical.
Yeah.
How did we just like throw things away like that? I think also the record was trying to be outrightly rock. And this is where we're sitting, where we're just like, now it has to be outrightly good. It has to be right.
Mm-hmm.
If
regardless
it sits
of what it is.
on piano
Yeah.
or it sits on acoustic strumming, this is where we're living.
Yeah.
You know, like it has to be right. I'll always be folk rock. It doesn't matter where the song is, living.
Well, and that I think is why we're doing this and why we did what we did in making these radio remixes. So that's coming on the next episode. We're gonna jump into the first song, Happier, that we did and really like talk about that. But hearing all these different versions and realizing that like there's something about these songs that can endlessly be made variations of.
Yeah.
And trying to just like create the ones that allow people to connect as easily as possible. But then still offering these other versions for different people to really be able to.
Somewhere in my diaries, I know when I first started writing music, I probably said, I want to create one song that can be created 9 different ways. Somewhere, I don't know.
Great.
In some diary, sometime in 2000 and something, I probably wrote it as, when I started writing music, that I would want to create music that is then I can recreate in so many other ways.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, on that note, I think thanks everybody for bearing with us on our first episode. We're figuring it out.
I don't know how we made it.
But next time we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the radio remix with Happier.
Boom. Shakalaka.
Like, follow, subscribe, what they say. If you're listening to this, boom. Look it up everywhere. And I'm going to go eat a sandwich.
Boom. Same. Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
We have cheese.